Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're navigating some pretty challenging waters, I think. That critical phase for startups right after they get that initial funding.
Yeah, that post-seed stage.
Exactly. You've got the seed round, the vision's big, everyone's excited. But what happens next? So many promising companies seem to stumble right here.
They really do, even with cash in the bank and good ideas.
Right. So why does that happen? And maybe more importantly for you listening, how do you avoid those common pitfalls? Our deep dive today is really digging into an analysis by Deborah DeYoung of Tip Top PR called Avoiding Post-Seed Startup Failure: Cash, Market, and Investors.
It's a sharp piece.
It is. Our mission here is basically to give you a kind of shortcut, a roadmap, maybe to understand the factors that, make or break things after that first big funding push.
And it's, like you said, it's really about much more than just getting the money. It's strategy. It's survival.
Strategic survival. I like that.
Yeah, understanding how your product, the market, your investors, how they all interact. We'll break down why these ventures fail and what levers they actually need to pull to succeed.
Okay, so a structured approach to something that feels pretty chaotic.
That's the goal. Clear eyes on a complex challenge.
All right, let's jump in. First big challenge. The cash-burning trap, as the article calls it. Now, having capital and a vision, that sounds great, right? Like you're ready to go.
It does. It feels like momentum.
But the article points out this crucial problem. Maybe it's too soon to market. GTM, what's really going on there? How do you know if it is too soon?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because the core issue often isn't a bad idea. It's more about a wrong assumption about commercialization.
An assumption like what?
Like assuming the market is ready for your brilliant product. The vision might be fantastic, but the market is not mature enough, not prepared.
Yet. Is there a common blind spot there? Something founders miss?
I think sometimes it's the belief that the innovation itself creates the market instantly, instead of, meeting a need that's already there or at least starting to bubble up.
Okay.
And remember, your investors, the angels and VCs, they love the vision, sure, but they really expect to see a healthy income stream. They want growth.
Fast growth, usually.
Exactly. They see these as fast-growing, expanding businesses. So if the market isn't actually ready for what you're selling, well, throwing more money at it.
It burns cash faster.
Precisely. Increasing budgets just accelerates the cash burn. It's like having a race car but no track. Revving the engine won't build the track.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So the article's point about knowledge is power. It's about knowing, really knowing, if your market is ready before you hit the gas pedal on spending.
That requires some real honesty, maybe humility.
Definitely. Testing those assumptions rigorously.
Okay, so that's the cash burn trap tied to market readiness. But then there's the fact that the market itself isn't static, is it? Especially now, with AI changing everything so fast.
Oh, absolutely. It's a constantly moving target.
So how does that mess with a startup's go-to-market strategy? You can't just use the old playbook, I guess.
No way. The old playbooks are, well, quickly becoming outdated in some areas. AI is driving huge shifts, changing how industries work, what customers expect.
So what do startups need to do differently?
They need to use knowledge much more intelligently. It's not just about analyzing past trends anymore. It's about using AI itself for strategic knowledge management, like leveraging AI to make better decisions faster.
You give an example. Like, how would that work?
Sure. Imagine using AI not just to spot current trends, but maybe to predict where the market is heading next week or next month, or identifying tiny customer niches before anyone else sees them.
Okay, proactive stuff.
Right. Or even using AI to adjust your marketing message on the fly based on real-time feedback. AI becomes less of a tool for analysis and more of a strategic co-pilot.
A co-pilot, I like that.
And DeYoung's analysis is really clear here. If you rush your GTM when the market isn't ready, or maybe when AI is already shifting expectations elsewhere, then just being fast doesn't help. Speed and sales efforts will just clash with where the market actually is. You push hard, but customers aren't there, or they want something different already.
So speed can actually become a liability, burning resources, getting no traction.
Exactly. You burn through that precious capital even faster.
Okay, so if just pushing harder and faster isn't the answer, what is? The article talks about clarity and flexibility being key. That sounds like a bit of a tightrope walk, though. How do you stay true to your mission, but also be flexible in this crazy environment? Isn't there a risk of being too flexible, losing focus?
That's a really important point. The risk is real. You can definitely get pulled in too many directions.
So how do you avoid that?
The idea isn't to ditch your mission. It's Keep their mission and goals, but optimize their GTM path. It's about being agile with your strategy, not just wandering around.
Optimizing the path. Okay.
Well, the source says it requires quick decisions, but not just speed for speed's sake. It means building a culture where people feel empowered to make calls, streamlining things, and crucially, involving your key employees in the process.
Getting buy-in from the team.
Exactly. When the people on the front lines help shape the strategy, they own it. They can execute faster and smarter.
Makes sense. And avoiding that too flexible trap.
It comes back to having that clear North Star your mission. You know where you're ultimately going, but you're willing to adjust the route based on what you're seeing in the market, what the data, maybe AI-driven data, is telling you.
Got it. Adjust the route, not the destination.
Precisely. In a world where AI is setting such a fast pace, flexibility is a must. It's not optional anymore. Maybe you run small, fast experiments, see what works, double down, or cut bait quickly.
Learning constantly.
Yes, the goal is to scale with substance, clarity, and accountability. Grow based on real value, understand your market deeply, and be accountable to the vision, the team, the investors. Not just growth for growth's sake.
Substance, clarity, accountability. I like that framework. It feels more grounded.
It needs to be.
Okay, so we've talked market readiness, cash burn, AI shifts, flexibility. But there's another huge piece. The investors. The human element.
Yes, the investors. Crucial.
DeYoung's report really emphasizes understanding them, not just taking their money, but really getting what makes them tick. What does that mean in practice for a startup?
It really pushes you to think about partnership versus just a transaction, right? Are you just taking cash or building something together?
Good distinction.
Because investors have different motives for investing, as the article points out, and you absolutely need to understand their motives and expectations, especially how they might react in times of crisis, and crucially, the level of control they demand.
So not all investors are the same.
Not at all. Think about it. Someone looking for a quick 3-5-year exit, they'll have very different pressures and expectations than someone investing in long-term disruption.
And they'll react differently when things get tough.
Completely differently, especially when your KPIs, your key performance indicators, those vital signs the business may be dip or don't hit those projections. Their underlying motive shapes their reaction.
Right. So how do investors track this?
They meticulously look at the KPIs of the startup and the time schedule you gave them. It's not a quick look, it's a deep dive. They're comparing you to benchmarks, checking progress against the plan.
So the startup needs its ducks in a row.
Absolutely. It requires careful planning, the article says. Not just presenting the metrics well, but making sure those metrics actually align with what you promised and what's realistic for the business and the market.
It sounds like a two-way street then. Managing expectations on both sides.
It has to be. You need to deliver, but you also need investors whose expectations actually match your realistic path. Otherwise, you end up chasing impossible targets set by maybe an inflated valuation early on.
The valuation trap. That leads nicely into the conclusion of the article, which I thought was really powerful. It shifts focus from just getting capital to deeper questions.
Yeah, it reframes the whole thing.
So what are those key questions listeners should be asking? If they're planning growth, maybe thinking about funding.
The big takeaway, the concluding thought, is this. The question isn't whether to raise capital, but when, for what, and with whom.
When, for what, and with whom.
Okay. It forces you to do that homework, be crystal clear on your KPIs, understand what you actually need the money for, and timing is huge.
Timing in what sense? Time to market.
Yes, but also, interestingly, the time the startup will onboard an investor. When do you actually bring them into the company?
Why does that timing matter so much?
Well, think about leverage. The article notes that generally the later capital is raised, the more traction and value you've hopefully built on your own.
The stronger your negotiating position.
Exactly. The more a startup can negotiate terms and conditions. Imagine going to investors with actual revenue and proven market fit versus just an idea on a slide deck. Your bargaining power is totally different.
That makes a lot of sense. Hold off if you can. Build more value first.
It can be a huge strategic advantage. And this all ties back to the final point. Valuations translate into commitments that matter.
Commitments that matter.
Meaning
they aren't just numbers. That valuation you agree on, it becomes a promise. It sets expectations for growth, for returns, for control. It dictates the future in very real ways.
So a high valuation isn't always a win. It could be a burden.
It absolutely can be if the underlying business or market can't realistically support the commitments that valuation implies.
Wow. Okay. So when, for what, with whom, and understanding that valuations are real commitments. Lots to think about there.
Definitely. And maybe that leads to one final thought.
Go for it.
If valuations really do represent these significant commitments, how much runway, how much time and space does a startup truly need before those commitments start feeling, well, restrictive?
Yeah.
Especially when, as we've discussed, market readiness is so hard to predict and AI keeps changing the game.
That's a fantastic question to leave people with. How much breathing room do you really need before those commitments kick in? Powerful stuff. Food for thought.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into post-seed survival and success. We hope these insights give you, our listeners, some valuable things to consider as you navigate your own journey.
Hope it was helpful.
Until the next deep dive, keep learning, keep building.